Hey everybody, Aaron here. Welcome back to another anime review. Today we look at the series known as Wolverine. Wait, what? No, if you're not actually familiar with the concept, there actually was a time where Marvel was doing a lot of anime. They weren't doing every single series, mind you, but they did, like, I think 5 shows, I believe. I might be incorrect with that, maybe 4. Let me actually look that up right now, and you could wait with me. No, 4 shows, yeah. They did Iron Man, Wolverine, X-Men, and Blade. Well, yeah, by the way, even though my name's BladeNinja, I did not get it from Blade. I got it just because I just made a stupid name up in 2007. But anyways, people like my name, so I don't consider it stupid anymore. But Wolverine actually was one of their second attempts at doing an anime. And I don't per se dislike the Wolverine franchise, like the anime franchise. I just think that it was okay. Let's first talk about what Wolverine the anime actually entails. So this actually takes place almost like a comic series, where this is a kind of off-kilter, more so away from the X-Men, more so just Wolverine by himself. Wolverine has, found out that one of his girlfriends from way back when, who was like his one true love, who went missing apparently a year ago or so. He finds out that she has reemerged in Japan, and he decides, you know what, I'm going to go take a flight to Japan. I'm going to go down there. I want to find out what's going on. And when he does come down to Japan, he learns that she is mixed up in a whole slew of issues with various people that are higher up, and, these different kind of people that are trying to make mutants and trying to make, like, creations that will destroy the world order and make it for themselves. So Wolverine kind of gets involved, typical X-Men type affair, where he then has to show his, prowess of his Wolverine claws, his adamantium abilities, all that stuff. And, Wolverine I think it was one of my favorite characters when I was younger as a Marvel character in general. So when he was an anime, like, when they actually did the anime in 2010, I was really excited for it. Don't get me wrong, I was stoked for it. It came out on G4, if anyone remembers that debunked channel now, because G4 doesn't exist anymore. And by the way, I'm sorry if you hear, like, my nose do weird noises because I'm scratching my nose. Like, I hate that when you get, like when it's really dry in there. But anyways, so Wolverine, essentially, it's just about a kind of a side story. That's what it really boils down to. Wolverine will, over the course of, I think, a 10 episode, 12 episode series, will then go around destroying his various enemies with his claws and his, near human ability where he can regenerate, like, in a moment's notice. And I want to say that in terms of anime, it sounds like such a cool premise, but I think it was handled incorrectly. Madhouse actually was the one who did the direction for this, and they made it very violent. They made it very mature content-wise. So I'm very happy about that, because I think Wolverine is always supposed to be in a mature state. You can never have him in a teen-rated movie. I think when he's in those type of movies, it almost kind of falters a little bit because of that, because you don't see the violence that you would think. Oh, a guy with claws ripping into someone, that should look violent. That should look gore-filled. And I'm not saying that it needs to be gore-filled, but I'm saying it looks better gore-filled. Don't get me wrong, the movies, the Western movies, I'm not going to talk about all of them, but they're definitely hit or miss here and there. The last Wolverine movie that came out with Hugh Jackman, which I think he's really good Wolverine, that movie was actually really done very well. I did like that they had an unrated version that was actually really kind of more a little bit more gory here and there, had a little bit more blood here and there. But, that movie did very well using what essentially was a Wolverine character being in a kind of situation where, yeah, he's killing people, hacking and slashing people, but he's not doing it in a way on screen that looks like it should be clumps of blood everywhere. And the anime kind of takes that and goes, you know what, let's do that. So Wolverine in this will be ripping people in half, he will be tearing people up, and that is one of the best things about this film, actually, or this series, excuse me, is that he does that. But honestly, that's what the issue also comes into play, the animation. The animation for Wolverine, I think, is stellar, but the actual art, I think, is hit or miss. I don't personally like Wolverine's style in this. I don't like the way he looks. I think he looks a little too skinny, a little bit, like, too lean, if that makes any sense. And while I have no issue with that all the time, I just think that he's supposed to look like a muscular character, and in this, he kind of looks like too traditional anime-esque character, which is, it's a little weird. I know it sounds a little hypocritical, but that's just my issue with it. I just don't particularly like his art, wise. I love the animation. The animation looks very stellar. This show does some really nice effects when it's in battle. But outside of that, it's like, it's hit or miss. Even the faces are kind of weird shaped to me, personally. Story-wise, that is also probably one of the weaker parts of this, unfortunately. The story is, again, typical X-Men affair, so if you really love X-Men side stories, like if you don't like the actual main lore, but you like the side stories of various characters coming in just to pop in for cameos, like Cyclops does appear in this, and other characters will pop in. But if you actually care about stuff like that, then you'll like this. But if you don't, you like more so the kind of traditional lore of Wolverine. If you like him actually doing stuff that is for the X-Men and more so less of him going off on his own usually, this might be less appealing to you. Now, visually, okay. Story, okay. Is there anything that's really bad about this? Sound-wise, the voice actors are very good. This was done. I only saw this in English. I know it was done in Japanese originally, but I saw the English one only. So I can only say that the English dub was very, very well done. I think everyone fit their role very well. I think that what they should have did with Wolverine is they should have had his typical voice actor who voices him in the video games and usually the kind of animated skits, Stephen Blum. He does a really good job of doing Wolverine personally, and they didn't have him as Wolverine this time. They had someone else that I'm not too familiar with his works, but I think that was a little bit of an off kind of catch. I mean, even Steve Blum was in this, actually. He was voicing another character. But I'm like, he could have voiced Wolverine. That would have been so much better. I mean, he does a way better job with Wolverine personally in my mind. But is it a big issue? Nah, it's not a big deal. It's still an enjoyable show. You're going to want to watch this if you're a fan of X-Men and you're a fan of anime in general, and you want to see kind of a violent version of Wolverine, then you're definitely going to want to watch this. But other than that, if I had to review this A through F, I'd have to give it probably a C+. It's nothing to write home about. It's nothing that you'll be like, oh my god, I must watch this now. If you want to buy it offline, I've seen it really cheap. I think Amazon you can buy like for $15, $20 most. I've never seen this go for very expensive. If it does now, if it's more price now, then that's because I'm just caught up with how much it maybe went up in price. But I highly doubt that because I've seen the store for really cheap. Typically, you know, Marvel's anime stuff is actually pretty cheap, and I do plan on reviewing all the different ones that I've seen. So I'm going to review X-Men, I'm going to review the Blade series, I'm going to review the other Iron Man one, which I really want to review because that, I'll tell you right now, guys and girls, I'm going to spoil that a little bit. That is way worse than Wolverine, but not as bad as the X-Men one, which is strange. So I'll tell you guys right now. So expect that to be around the same score, but slightly lower too at the same time. It's going to be interesting. I think one of the things about, I was almost contemplating, I was almost thinking I would review all the Marvel anime adaptations in one, but I don't think that'd be fair because they are all their own works. So realistically, why would I do that? So I figured, you know, we do Wolverine first, I'll do X-Men next, I'll do Blade. And by the way, these are not real order. I might actually change the order up within me actually doing the reviews for them. But right now I want to do the Wolverine one. I don't know when the other ones come out. They might be coming out soon, they might not, so that's highly dependent on people's feedback of this. But anyways, guys and girls, that's it for today's review. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said before, guys and girls, I'm not saying that Wolverine is a bad anime. Like, I don't want people to go, what the, no, you're saying it's, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying, for me, I didn't personally think it was that great. But if you really are a huge X-Men fan, if you're a huge Wolverine fan, you know that this is aimed for you. You know that you're going to get enjoyment out of this because it's another Marvel creation. Marvel typically makes good things. I've never had any issue with Marvel. Marvel's one of my favorite comic book studios and one of my favorite, you know, movie studios actually in general because I do love their, you know, movies that they actually make. But if you are very kind of iffy about this, and if you're iffy about those genres in general, this is not going to change your mind of becoming a huge Wolverine fan. It's going to make you go, well, eh. So I just want to tell you guys that, you know, whatever. But anyways, I will talk to you all later. As always, until our paths cross again in the next review, have a good one, everyone. Bye-bye.